always start a session by checking in. It isn't just jumping into how to go or let's get into the book. That's not how a session begins. There is that check-in point. Checking in almost looks different now. It's deeper than just oh, he said a new word this week, or oh, we had this horrible tantrum I want to get to. There's their emotion that's kind of coming in with it. And checking in sometimes takes longer. Checking in goes deeper now than it used to. And there's way more meat to it. And it's, I think, that much more important. And I think we're that much more cognizant of that check-in time and what it really means to our families and what it means to us to learn about what they're going through right now. Take the time to listen to your families, really hear them, asking questions so that you really understand what they're going through right now, so that you can then relate that back to the support that you're providing for them.
Pre-pandemic, I would say I always checked in and we asked how your week was. With the pandemic, I did check in some way about how are you? How's it going? How was this week? And then I almost wanted to stop doing it because there was no good news. It was so overwhelming at first. And so I did go through a phase in the first wave of the pandemic where I almost didn't want to do that anymore because it was just getting so heavy. But then I feel like I kind of got it back together and just for sure checking in with the family. There are days I haven't done that and I jump right into how did that go when you tried that strategy we talked about you trying a couple weeks ago. I did that, and then as soon as I touched on, work starts this week. You have to go back to work this week. Her entire face changed and she just relaxed and started telling me how stressful trying that strategy was with the information that she had to go back. So checking in is so important.
I can feel that trust to let them know that, I'm human and I'm feeling that way too. And I think that's also something that, the parent kind of takes in and really values that, that we are human and we're feeling this way too. And, just getting on screen today was a win for us. So celebrating those things.
Checking in has taken longer, and I've had to be conscious of giving parents time to talk at the beginning of the session about whatever's on their mind. I think I've definitely encouraged parents to cut themselves more slack at this time and not be hard on themselves because it is such a stressful time for everyone. And also sometimes to cut their child more slack too. I feel like I've had a number of kids who've struggled a little bit more with their behavior during this time. So, we've spent time talking about, think about how this feels for you. Now let's try to take your child's perspective and imagine, what this feels like for your child right now.
I love the check-in. Oftentimes there's a beautiful transition of something they say about their feelings, their worries, their stress. It could be about a job or the child. I listen to hear a string drawing it back to, we talked about that, or interesting that you say that because we're going there today. So I listen to find the transition so that it makes sense to them.
I feel like that's what early intervention always is, really listening. It's not a strategy kind of isolated in its own little silo that here is your to-do for today. It always should be kind of woven into their life. So the check-in is the important part where then it gives us so many rich current experiences that then we can embed all of our content into that. That is the goal, I think. So that's why you need to take all that time really knowing what's life like right now, what happened this week, what's going on through the pandemic, so that we can incorporate it into life right now.
Sometimes it feels like there's multiple check-ins all throughout the session. We're continually because they're talking about what comes to mind and we're, then tying it to the strategy or the topic for the day, all throughout the session. And I also think some parents, when you first ask them, how are you? How was your week? They don't really have anything to say. So we jump into the topic sooner, but then it comes out later in the session because something we're talking about later reminds them or brings something up in their mind. So I really think being flexible, following the parent's lead as to how the conversation flows throughout the session. So I feel like my agenda or my, strategy is always in my mind, but I'm kind of flexible about how that information comes out throughout the session based on how the parent is or, where they're at that day.